Well, I was told I had to sit next to pretty blondes, and there are two of them. Could we put them both next to each other? How's that? All right, so where would you want to put me?
Up to you, wherever you want.
One place here.
Okay. Between two pretty girls. That still works, doesn't it? Okay.
It's a good deal, right?
Yeah, it's a good
It pays me
deal.
later.
Yeah, well, not necessarily.
Right, thank you. Now, do we have some horror stories or some life stories about bad buyers that you faced before? And anyone would like to share some of those stories? Anyone? Anyone has met a buyer who knows very little but pretend they know a lot? Okay, James.
Hi, good morning everyone. I'm James from China NetCloud. We basically run servers for internet companies. And I would say about a quarter or maybe a third of our clients think they know a lot about running servers and security and performance on the internet. About 1% of them actually do. We had, so interesting, has anybody used group buying?
Group buying, yes.
Group buying sites.
One goal.
So we had a group buying site come to us about a month ago. The guy was, a very good IT guy, good manager. And he said, basically through the course of the presentation, he kept saying, well, I know this, what about this, what about this, what about this? And we kept thinking that, he's really pushy. I don't know if he would ever outsource the work to us. And we did get a contract, and everything worked well. The thing was that there are many things that he missed, and of course his local team made many mistakes going through the setup.
Yes.
So it was very interesting. You see people that are very pushy,
Right.
think they know it, and then in the end, they really don't. So,
Right.
So
what happened to the project in the end?
The project went live. They're doing very well.
Okay.
Again, it's a group buying site. But we had internally our team and their team had some fights.
Okay.
About
some
you
fights.
can't, don't.
Anybody got hurt? Anybody hospitalized?
Not that we know of. But we're just fighting about the technology and not allowing certain things for security reasons.
Right. And when things don't go right, do they blame themselves or do they blame you?
We try to make it usually us.
Okay.
That's
a short answer.
Usually us. But we that's one of the things that we're hired to do.
Right. Thank you.
Take the blame.
Take the blame. Yes. Anyone else with another story about bad buys? Okay, Joanna. Okay, we'll come to you there.
My name is Joanna. I work for Santa Fe Relocation Services. And of course, most of our clients are relocating all over the world. And they never listen to us what items they should put to the boxes, because some countries we have regulations and they cannot put some items. And there was a very senior guy, the HR director of one of the famous companies here in Shanghai. So he forced the packers in his own country, in France, to smuggle 20 bottles of wine. And we told him, it's illegal, you absolutely cannot bring alcohol here. If you bring, you are charged like big amount of money, right? But so he forced these poor guys who were there, but they should put somewhere between the clothes. The shipment has arrived. What has happened? Of course, the customs, they are screening every box, and they found out the bottles. So they stopped his customs, the clearance of his goods. He could not get his clothes, he could not get his items, basically for like around a month. And the customs, they just wanted to charge him a huge amount of money. He refused to pay. And then he was blaming us that we didn't tell him, but of course we always, before every shipment is done, we send the email and also the reminders, please don't put these items because they are forbidden now. So finally we negotiated with the China customs here and he paid like a lower amount of money and he got his wine, but his wine actually costed him a lot. Yeah. And usually clients, they always know what they can ship back actually.
Right, thank you. And what about you?
Okay, I'm Laura. I'm from a Swedish company. We provide spreaders. Maybe most of you are not aware of that. This spreader is used for port machine. If you have ever visited the port, you see those big cranes beside the ports and the sea. and our spreader is the small part, just take the container, lift up, move container.
Okay.
That part we provide spreader. So our customers, one end user is port. When we went to visit port, actually I'm not really sure, they really don't know, or they just try to take it as a negotiation method.
Okay.
They said, hey, what is so complicated for a spreader? Just lift the container and take it up and move it. That's
It's
simple.
like picking your hand and just grab, right?
So we don't think you should charge so much because it's very simple machine. So that is normally at the beginning they always
Sure.
give us such feedback
Sure.
to try to say this is nothing important.
You're charging too much.
Yes, that's a way for them to say, yeah.
Okay, right. And eventually what happened?
Eventually, we, after visiting several times to the ports, especially after we have provided many times for the service, we
Yes.
collect a lot of complaints from the port. And then we found actually for the port, number one priority is security. You can't afford if the container drop off. Yes, that's dangerous, especially if some people enter.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two is, in China, all the ports, they are so busy. So efficiency is money for them, definitely. If they can handle more containers in 1 hour, they can take
Make
more
a
ships
lot more
on
money.
board. That's right. So efficiency is actually very important for them.
Mhm.
So we dig out these two big issues for them, and
Sure.
then we tell them our spreader is more safe. We have more technical data to
uh-huh.
support that. And
Right.
our spreader is more efficient. We also have technical data to compare with other brands.
Right.
Then environmental friendly and some other,
Okay.
yes.
Right. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Give me a round of applause for all three. Right. Going back on the part of safety. Sometimes safety is not just for the sake of safety. What how do I mean by that? If you're operating a port, if you're a public company, and then there are some safety issues. In this case, if a container dropped, goods are damaged, people die, and so on. It's not just because people die. The bigger picture is that it's bad. It's very bad publicity. Such a product.
Those leaders will lose their job.
Yeah, a lot of people lose their jobs, a lot of heads roll. It's bad publicity. You lose a lot more businesses. Let me arrange for one more chair. Sorry, one more chair. Right. Hang on. Can I just ask Alice outside to just bring a chair in? Thank you. Sorry, again, we didn't expect so many people. I think we sent out confirmation letters and we have some replies, some did not reply, so we did not know exactly how many people are coming in the end. More people turned up than usual. Thanks a lot for your support. Right. Going back on the port story, yeah, it's bad publicity, they'll lose a lot more business. So sometimes it's about how we actually educate people. What happened? It's about how we educate people and make them know, make them understand that they don't know everything. Okay, so if you're facing purchasing managers, okay, and these are the top 5 priorities of purchasing managers. Guess what will be number 1? What is the biggest priority of a purchasing manager?
Cheap.
Cheap price, exactly. Okay, so if I know that there are some of us who are consulting companies, some of us provide what I call solutions. There are, I would say, technologically advanced, better quality, and so on. Okay, no worries about copying. We'll send you the what we call the digital copies in PDF form after this event. Right, so just make sure that you don't need to copy everything. If something does come to mind, please feel free to jot it down. But the notes will be given to you. If you sell something that's technologically more advanced, better product, next generation product, and if you want to see the purchasing manager or the procurement manager, the end result is this. They will say how much, right? And then you quote a price. If your product is the next generation product, do you think it will be more expensive or cheaper? Is the price going to be higher or lower than what they're buying now? Higher. Definitely will be higher.
They want to achieve something so they can contribute to their position in the company.
Okay, they want to achieve something that will contribute to their position. And what is it that will contribute to their position? How are purchasing managers being appraised, being being monitored?
Cheap.
achievement reported to the achievement to the company.
Achievements to the company, specifically, purchasing managers always have this issue about cost down. Right? If you're a purchasing manager, procurement director, basically there's this what we call performance measurement criteria, or PMI, performance measurement indicator. Okay, that is about cost down. That means whatever you buy over the years, the company wants to see, can you reduce costs by X% every year? Okay, that's the job of a purchasing manager. Now, is price equal to cost? Is the price that you pay as a purchasing manager equal to the cost of owning that product?
No.
Okay, if it's no, why not?
You have actually the cost afterwards, after you have bought the
Okay, there'll be costs such as
service cost,
maintenance costs, wastages costs, efficiency costs, and everything that goes into it. So the price is one thing, the cost is another thing. The company asks for cost down, the purchasing manager looks at price. Why? Because price is easier to manage, easier to measure than any kinds of cost improvements. Right? So the purchasing manager basically looks at price first. If your price is priced higher than what they're buying now, chances are they're going to say no. Okay, so that usually is the case for us. And in such cases, what we usually advise salespeople is don't talk to the purchasing manager first. You may want to talk to someone else you may want to talk to some end users. You may want to talk to some other buying influences other than the purchasing manager. Get some buy-in, get some support that, hey, we should have some better technology. We should have some better quality products. We should be able to reduce some costs in some other areas. And then influence the purchasing manager later. The same thing, we have some consultants here in the room. If you sell companies, if your purchasing manager is actually the training manager, the HR manager, similar things is going to happen. They may not be focusing on price, but they may be focusing on, do we know you? Do you know us? We only do business with people we know, right? Even if you have a better product, a better name, better solutions, we may not want to work with you. Okay, if that is the case, again, you may want to look at other influences before you go to this person. First one is price for purchasing manager. The second criteria could be flexible payment terms. If you cannot reduce the price, then can we not pay upfront? Can we pay like 3 months later, 9 days? Right. So again, relating to purchasing manager. On top of that, this is pertaining to their job. Right. They are very very focused on delivery schedule and product quality. Why? Purchasing managers. Number one is price. Number two, flexible payment terms. If you need to charge high price, okay, can I pay you very late? And thirdly, I need you to ship on time. I need your product quality to be consistent. Why are they so particular about shipment times and product quality? What happens when the product is not shipped on time?
Then the purchase will get complaints.
They will get complaints. Other departments will change the production. It's going to chase after them. Sales and marketing is going to chase after them. Right. So they'll have trouble from other colleagues. Same thing as product quality. So these things pertain to their jobs. Right. And every buying decision, if you're selling to companies, you're selling business to business, B2B. In every buying decision, there are two levels of needs. One is an official need. By official need, it means whatever we are selling, how does it help that company to, number one, either make more money, number two, save money, right? Either make more money or save money. Number three, improve productivity, especially asset productivity. Meaning, if you sell something that's going to improve utilization of their machinery. If they have machinery that is turning on for production for 24 hours a day, if you sell something that will reduce their downtime, they're very happy. You improve asset utilization, asset productivity. So on the official sense, companies buy for three criteria only. Make money, save money, improve asset utilization. That's it. But on a personal aspect, because, well, it's not company that buys and sells things, it's the people in the company that buy and sell things. So if you sell to the people in the company, they are going to think about, well, partly for the company and partly for themselves. And by thinking for themselves, we're not saying that they are thinking about, can I have some under the table money, what you call? Can I have some extra goodies, like extra two cartons of Zhonghua or something, right? Can I have a good night out at some, what I call 天上人间 KTV? It's not just that, well, that too, but not that. Some things like this, they are looking at, what's my KPI? What's my key performance indicator I need to have cost down? Or at the very least, can I have flexible payment terms so that I look good in front of my boss? Can I have guaranteed what I call flexible and accurate? It's not just accurate, but also flexible delivery schedules and consistent product quality. Why? Because if I don't have those, I'm going to get complaints from my colleagues, and it's going to make my life, my job more difficult. Okay, these are concerns on a more personal basis. Number 3, ease of maintenance. Most of the time it's ease of maintenance. We do have come across a case where a purchasing manager actually bought because it's difficult to maintain. Right, guess why? It's purposely buying something that is difficult to maintain, that requires a lot of internal maintenance. Right, it happens that this is a purchasing manager. It's not really a full-time purchasing manager, it's a technical purchasing, he knows technical details as well. He bought because, right, if the product is difficult to maintain, his value in the company goes up. The company will rely on him more than if easy to maintain, right? That is more of an oddball case. It happens, right? It's not all the time that the best product is being bought. Sometimes some people choose other products with some flaws. In this case, most of the time, purchasing managers would like to have ease of maintenance. Simple, makes the life easier. And 5th one is the reputation of vendor. Are you known in the market? Are you selling to our competitors? Strange things. Purchasing managers like to buy from someone who is doing business with their key competitors. Right. Normally, when we think about competitors, like stay away. You know, we are competitors. We don't want our competitors to know too much about us. But from a purchasing point of view, they would like to buy from people that are already selling to their competitors. Right. And the reason being that, well, it's a perception. It may be true. It may not be true. That perception is that if I buy from my competitors, these are people with good reputation. They know our market, they know our industry, they know what we want. They have a good track record, so to speak. So if you have a reputation of selling to our competitors, great. Okay, so this are some criteria for purchasing managers, and this is how they buy. In terms of selling to Muggles, as mentioned, there are Muggles and there are wizards. Right? It doesn't mean that Muggles are bad, wizards are good. It can be the other way around. Because if you look into different classifications, we have Muggles who are open to suggestions, open Muggles. And of course, the opposite is closed Muggles. We also have wizards who are close to ideas, to suggestions. And we also have wizards who are open to suggestions. And different people has got different kinds of characteristics. Right? So if you were just to look at the first type, the open Muggles, what's some of the characteristics? These are people who know that they do not know and admit they do not know. Alright, these are people who are not afraid to say that, hang on a second, what you're telling me, Mr. Salesperson, is something that I'm not quite sure. Right, I need to find some facts, I need to check some things, I need to get back to you, and you probably will need to give me more facts, more information so that I can give you a better picture. Okay, these are people who are open to that. Well, I may know something, but I will not know everything. So these are people who are going to, they love to learn. Not just internally, not just learn by their own researching, whether it's on the internet or somewhere else. Learning also by asking their own colleagues. Learning also by asking the salesperson or other external bodies. So they like to get in more information and see what it is. They know that they have limitations. Basically, they acknowledge they have their own limitations. They are open to suggestions, they listen to suggestions. Doesn't mean that they will just make the decision based on what you say. They will still have their own conclusion, but based on inputs of others. Okay, so these are people who are going out and say that I do know there are things that I do not know yet. Okay, so these are people that are relatively easy to handle. These are the Muggles that we love, right? So when dealing with such Muggles, what do you think we can do as salespeople? These are the people who automatically tell me more, give me more information. I need to check with my people. There are certain things that I can tell you. There are certain things that I cannot tell you because I don't have the facts yet. So what is the strategy in dealing with this kind of Muggle?
You're a solution consultant, like
Be
a
a solution.
solution sales.
Okay,
Yeah, to
Provide
understand
solutions.
his needs and then collect our information to provide him. To
Right.
train him or educate him about our products and advantages and
Right.
how to adapt to his needs.
take time to educate, right? Take time to let them know what's good and what's not good for them. In a way, one is to take the time to educate. The other one is also to take the time to build trust. In the sense that, well, these are people who know they do not know everything, which means whatever you say, they may not believe in you 100%. Right? You're a salesperson. You're there to make money from me, so I'm going to take it with a pinch of salt. So how do you build trust in that case? Is that in some opinions, you don't always say that you are good and others are bad. You don't always say that what you're offering is always much better than what they're having now, right? In some part of your customer education, you may want to illustrate what's your strengths, what are the possible weaknesses, how do you overcome them, how do you work things so that it fits their needs. Right? You don't just go in and try to sell your highest price item. You look into a situation, look into their possible budgets, look into their possible constraints, and walk them through what might be an ideal solution for them. So you make them feel that you are able to see things and consider things from their point of view. Right? Once you have done that, these are people who are going to be your best friends. Okay, so these are open Muggles. And the reverse side of open Muggles, the closed Muggles. Well, these are the cases that we mentioned. These are people that don't know, or at least there are certain things they don't know. We may not say that they don't know anything, right? But there are certain things they do not know as yet. Yet they pretend to know. It's like, and we're not discriminating against any other kind of people. Sometimes we ourselves go into this kind of mode as well. In what area? How many of you have bought a car personally before? As in, you buy the car. Okay, so when you go around buying cars, how do you choose the car you want to buy?
Kick the tires,
Kick the tires and
open up the hood of the car.
open the hood, yeah.
Look at the engine.
Especially the hood and look at the engine, right? You kick the tires and look at the engine. What kind of conclusions can you draw from kicking the tires and looking at the engine? Absolutely nothing. Right? Yes, we pretend. Oh, looks good. Engine looks awesome. Okay. Right, so at times we go into this mode as well and just pretend we know it, and then it goes through motion. But that's okay if I just buy a car, because ultimately the buying of a car we still have to take for a test drive, right? So it feels good in the test drive. Basically, that's it. But when it comes to business transactions or purchasing, if you pretend to know when you don't know, it can be dangerous for both parties. It can also be what they call time wasting for both, not just for the seller, for the buyer also. Take for instance, sometimes, especially Chinese buyers in China, for some reason they don't tell the salesperson what exactly is their criteria. Right? There are certain criteria that they must have. If you don't fulfill this criteria, it will be a straight no, so don't waste time. Right? They don't go about telling that, okay, if we want to look for a new vendor, if you're looking for a new source, these are the top 3 criteria that we must have. If you don't have it, don't talk to us. Don't waste my time. They don't even tell you that. Right? They keep you guessing and say, okay, can you give me more information? Or these are things that we make these decisions, and that's it. And eventually, we are not chosen. They didn't tell why. You also don't know why. And until months later, you found from that company that, oh, they need to have those 3 criteria before you can sell to them. And you have other products that actually fit into those 3 criteria that are a better solution than what they are buying now. Okay, a lot of Chinese buyers think that by withholding information, it gives them a lot more bargaining power in negotiations. Some parts may be true, some parts may not be true. For example, if you have, we need the top 3 criteria. I need to have a proven concept. Like we are not a guinea pig. It must be a proven product in the market. Number 2, it must have very little maintenance required. Number 3, it must have an overall production cost savings of 10% every year. Okay, these are top 3 criteria. If you don't meet these 3 criteria, we will not change to a new vendor, or we will not try a new vendor. That is the company policy. Right? If you want to tell this to the seller, it does not erode your bargaining power. What erodes your bargaining power is, these are 3 criteria, and we have been searching around for a long time, and we couldn't find any other seller that fits into these 3 criteria. Right? If you tell that, then of course the seller knows, okay, so we are the only one there. We can charge the high price, right? But criteria are criteria. These are the basis of making a deal or no deal. Right? And if you fit this criteria, then the negotiation starts on what kind of services can I get, how much must I pay, and so on. So it's again has to do with we don't have enough purchasing managers, we don't have enough procurement managers in China that are professional enough, that are trained enough. Right? A lot of purchasing procurement managers are not trained, and they don't have any idea about what is professional procurement. They don't have any idea of what is total cost of ownership. They don't have any idea of how to streamline the whole procurement process. And some people, like I mentioned, they are open models. They are frank about it, and we can work towards a solution. Some other people, they're close, and they pretend to know. Okay? Not only they pretend to know, they are face and status conscious. Right? They want to protect their face. So if you tell them they don't know, they lose face, and they are not happy. Right? If you tell them, can I talk to your technical guys who know about technical information, they feel they lose status. Okay, so these are people that are, in a way, very, very difficult to handle. Not only that, they also tend to pretend they are the sole decision maker. Right? If you want to sell this thing, I'm the only guy that makes a decision about buying. Just send the proposal to me. I'll tell you an answer. And when you send over the proposal, the answer they give is, I've sent the proposal to my boss. Right? So this other guy knows this. And in fact, in the buying and selling, what we found is that those who claim that they are the decision maker, I make the decision, I am the buyer, I'm the key person. Those that claim to be the main decision maker are not the decision maker most of the time. Not always, but most of the time they're not. Those who say that, I'm giving my inputs, I'm just sharing my ideas, I'm just sharing my point of view from my department's perspective. Those people are the decision makers. Most of the time, decision makers usually will not say they are decision makers. Non-decision makers usually will say, I make decisions. Straightforward. Sometimes these people doesn't think about bigger picture. We talk about price versus cost. They don't think about what are some of the total cost of ownership. What are costs involved in getting things done? Okay, rather than just price itself. They don't think about user issues. You may buy something that is very cheap, but it's so difficult to use. The users have a lot of complaints. Right? You may buy something that's so cheap. You end up with a lot of wastages, or a lot of downtime, a lot of decreases in productivity. So sometimes they don't think about that bigger picture. Okay, and if they were to make decisions, they will make decisions because someone they trust tells them that's a good buy. Okay, they're usually because they pretend to know, so they feel shy, and they like to protect their face. They feel shy to ask questions or even to consult other people. So what they do is, they got a close friend, someone they trust a lot, internally or with their external friends, they tell them this is a good buy, they buy. Okay, and again, unfortunately we see a lot of such buyers in China. And in fact, not just China, in Asia, the whole of Asia as well, unfortunately. So if you want to
CJ,
meet,
the best example of this is SAP. Okay? SAP walks into a company, I'm not
Yeah.
SAP, but walks into a company, tells them what they need,
Yeah.
and the Muggle says, I don't need all these fancy frills,
Yeah.
I don't need this customized for us, just give me the cheap package. Okay? And then SAP never bothers to really educate them. So it takes 2 years to implement what should take 3 to 6 months. But it's, every time SAP sells, it's to a closed Muggle, it seems.
well, if they didn't bother to educate the customers, then they could be, they could have some open Muggles in there. Right, it's, as I said, all purchasing managers, whatever their profiles, they start with price. I'm purchasing guy, give me the cheapest package. Right, if you're SAP or you're SAP and if you at least try to say that, well, we do have our cheapest price package, but would you like to know what's the difference, what's the difference in the impact on your workflow between the lowest price package and one that is just a little bit higher? Okay, it's just, some people will say no, some people will say yes, but before you even ask those kind of questions, you don't know, are they open or are they closed? All right, and sometimes, as we will see later, sometimes they could be closed visits, and visits are not always good, and closed visits sometimes can be bad. Okay, so yeah, that's good. That's a good example. Coming back on closed Muggles, if you are facing such people, obviously they pretend they know, you want to talk to their technical or people or end users, they say no, just come to me, I make decisions. Okay, these are signs that they are a closed Muggle. What do you do next? It's a tough one.
Try to let him talk.
Try to let him talk,
Pretend
yeah.
to know so much, let him talk, let him introduce.
Okay, let them introduce, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they pretend to know, so they may not talk much as well.
Yeah.
They just tell us the best price, give us the best package, we'll make the decision. What else can we do? It's not easy. The clue is that who are their trusted sources? You're going to influence that, you're going to look into who are their trusted sources internally or externally. If they have other sources that internal and they trust, work on those people first and see how if you can influence those people. That's one way of doing things. Number two is that not all buying decisions go through the purchasing manager. And if this person pretends to be a sole decision maker, then that means there are other, at least some decision influencers or at least some co-decision makers elsewhere. Who are those people? Find those people and see if they can affect the decision of this purchasing manager.
Well, so there's a problem with that, though. As soon as you do that, he loses face or she loses face in the process.
Yes, it
So
does.
You have to be very, very careful when you do
Yes,
something like
it
that.
does, it does.
I think most often when you meet a person like that, you have to make a decision whether you want that person to be a client.
Yes.
In the end, the bottom line has to be, do you really want that relationship? And when you run into these kind of people,
Yeah.
not all of them are really, really bad. Some of them you can work with. But when
Yes.
you reach the really bad ones, you have
Yes.
to walk away.
Yes, definitely.
Have to walk away.
Well, it depends on if also, and sometimes such people usually happens in the companies that you really want to work with most.
Yes, sir. That's exactly right. That's exactly
I
right.
want to start this company and I've been this obstacle,
But you know the good news is
Totally.
within 18 to 24 months, that person will be gone.
Yes, exactly, yeah. And on top of that, if that person is not gone within the next 18 to 24 months, by the way, 18 to 24 months is average staff turnover period in China of all positions. If that person is not gone in 18 to 24 months, what you can do is to hire a headhunter. Go somewhere else. And make sure you headhunt them for your competitors' key accounts.
That's right.
Yeah. Very bad. Okay, so yeah, so in a way, this is one tough one to handle.
But there's a follow to that is, if you've actually met this person, you also met some of the people around that person.
Yes.
And when that person goes, then you have your entree.
Yes, exactly. That's why one of those trusted sources, one of those other co-decision makers. So can you network within the customer's organization? Yeah. So it's we don't always go through the extreme situation of really targeting this person. We look at other alternatives. Yeah, and see if we can actually make the sale as much as possible. Closed wizards. Right, these are people who are smart because some wizards, they're smart, they know what they want. Or, well, most of the time they're right about what they want, and as a result, they're demanding. They demand high standards, they sometimes demand good quality, fast quality, great service, low price. Right, so this are people who are demanding, they know what they want, and sometimes they even know exactly what is your margin. Right, this happens a lot in the automotive parts industry, where margins are very transparent. You can just do a spreadsheet and calculate exactly how much you need to make a healthy profit to run your business. And I'll give you no more, no less, just that amount. Okay, so that sometimes happens. They can be demanding, and they want. They may not compete on price, but they can really drive what we call it, stretches the need for service, the need for quality, the need for other factors. Sometimes they can be very stubborn, so they have insist a fixed way of doing things. This is our procedure. You need to follow my procedure, and not we follow your procedure. Okay, so they have a fixed way of doing things, which makes them a little bit inflexible because they're closed. They're not open to suggestions or negotiations. So sometimes they don't listen. This is our way. And why does not listen? Because next one actually, they make decisions based on past experiences. They are very experienced, and most of the time they are right. Okay, it's just that because they are right, they're smart. They are very professional. They're very good. They got vast experiences, and most of their experiences are very good experience. So they're based on past experience, and because they are right most of the time and smart, and they are very smart people, they tend to believe that they are right. And if you have a different opinion, if I'm smart and I'm right most of the time, and if you got a different opinion, that means you are wrong. Not just challenge me, you're wrong. Because I'm right most of the time and I'm smart. So the only conclusion I have is you're wrong. So you listen to me, not I listen to you.
No, but I think there's a corollary here too.
Yeah.
And that is, people like this treat you as a vendor, not as a partner.
Yes.
All right. In the end, you have to ask yourself, do I want to be a vendor or do I want to be a partner?
Sure, definitely. And
I have a classic example is we work with Pepsi.
Pepsi, okay.
And Pepsi has a list of things we have to do, and they say, all our vendors do this, and I say, look, we're your partner. Oh yeah, you are our partner. Yeah, but you have to do it this way.
Yeah. Again, it also happens to the brand and the size of the buyer's company. People like PepsiCo, if you're selling PepsiCo, if you're selling to Microsoft, you're selling to IBM. These are companies because, well, they've got a big brand behind. If you don't want to do our business, we've got a long queue of people who want to be our vendor. So take it or leave it. Right? So it's that kind of attitude without thinking that, well, what we are suggesting is not just because, well, of course we like to have it our way at times so that our lives as salespeople can be better. That's part of the story. The other part of the story is also that, you know, if we want to change certain things, it's also for the benefit of the customer. We would like to work together so that we can deliver better solutions for everybody. So sometimes they're not willing to listen, and as a result, they may be blindsided at times. They can get a good solution, but they may not be getting their best solution for them. Okay.
For this kind of customer, my experience is first, like as you said, we need to find what's their blind point.
Yes.
You need to tell them, point out, but don't to be too strong because,
Yes.
as you say, they think we're right. They might not listen to, but you
Yes.
should let them know your opinion,
Yes.
and then just be patient. Wait
Yes.
until they make a mistake,
Yes.
and then you come back again. Then they start respect.
Okay, and you need to pray for one thing. Now, it's beyond your control that when they make a mistake, it's not with regards to buying from us. that means they make a mistake with some other sellers.
Yes, yes.
Not us. So they blame on other sellers. Then we come in and say, no, to avoid similar
have told
mistakes
you
from
this,
happening.
this,
Yes.
yeah.
So if it's with us, then they blame us. So this is kind of close business, and sometimes hard to handle. If you are good enough, if you are able to meet the very high demands, usually you get the job. Okay, because the demands are going to be so high, not a lot of people can meet them. So if you're hungry for business, you want a business and are able to meet the demands, usually you can get it. You may not be very happy about it. They may not get the best results because of it, but you get a business nevertheless. You may want to overdue costs, build trust, and make them being able to listen to you a bit. You may want to bide the time and see if they make mistakes on other parts and come in and save them or help them a bit. So it takes time for them to trust you enough and be willing to listen to you. Right? Again, that is on maybe. In some customers like PepsiCo, the answer is never. Not because of that person, but because of what PepsiCo is. It's a big
The
company.
size of the bureaucracy.
The size of the bureaucracy. So you change that person, it doesn't change anything. That person goes to a different job, comes in another person, same thing is going to happen because of the company structure and the way the company makes decision. Right? So, open reasons. Open reasons are fun to work with. If you like to have in-depth discussions, they like to go into in-depth discussions, whether it's technical, business, or other aspects. They like to talk. They like to go in-depth with you. The downside about that, though, is that sometimes you may overspend your time. Right? You factor for an hour of discussion, it goes to 3 hours. It can happen that way, right? In terms of in-depth discussions, it's different from customers who like to talk about everything. There's some customers who just talk about how they spend their weekend, what is the state of the government, what is the quality of taxi drivers in the streets, and everything else, and that goes on and on. It's different kind of customers. In this case, they really go in that detail, business, technical, further issues. They like to talk about what can be the best or the ideal solution for them and for everybody as well. Okay, so they're gonna talk deep. Because they like to talk in depth, they would prefer to deal with sellers with in-depth knowledge. They don't want someone who just sells a product, that just pushes product to them. They want someone to say, what's in that product? How do you go about coming up with that product? How does it help us? If we have further needs, how can you customize things so that it fits our needs? Right? Whether it's current needs or even future needs. So they like salespeople who have that level of whether it's product knowledge or customer knowledge or technical knowledge. They're willing to explore options. Right, so if you just give them a proposal with one single solution, with one single plan or package, they don't like it. They like to have 2 to 3 different options to compare. If they don't get it from your proposal, they get it from your competitor's proposal. They like to compare different things and see if you can mix and match and have a better solution. They draw conclusion as an active participant, meaning it's your input, it's also my input. We come into a final conclusion as what we call all parties being active decision makers. Buyer, seller, their other colleagues, everybody come together, everybody chip in. It's a final decision that is what we call gathering inputs from all over and making a final decision. A little bit different from the open Muggle. Open Muggle listens, gather inputs, make decisions. This person, because here's the reason. So he is able to, or he or she is able to add more inputs on his or her own, and even push forward to, can we do things a little better? Why not? We have the different types of options. Can we have better deals? And we're willing to explore. What is different from the closed wizard? The closed wizard just tells you what he wants. This guy will ask, can we do it a different way? Can we explore a different way? They are more open to discussion and negotiation. Okay, so these are basically for technical. It's a matter of how you deal with different types and know who you are dealing with. Sometimes it's about certain traits that certain words they use that gives you some kinds of indication what kind of profile this person might be. right? Sorry.
I think this kind of customer normally is because we are technical products.
Yes.
When we have the new product discussion with the customer's technical
Yes.
department,
Yeah.
those technician people
Yes.
are like this kind of
Yes.
open with it. We
Yes.
have so many questions.
Yes.
So in this case, I think for us, we have to first, we need to control
Yeah.
how much really we should discuss and what
Yes.
steps we should discuss. And
Yes.
also, we need to really ensure we are professional for this product. So
Mm.
after all, we can
Yes.
give you the most reasonable suggestion, not
Yes.
like,
Not
they
the,
cannot involve
yes.
too much so they get too much fantasy.
Yes, yes, yes.
You can't control the cost of the
Sometimes they are not aware of their budgets.
product. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
they
what
assume
give
they got
too much
unlimited
suggestion.
budget, so I want to have the best product regardless of budget. Right,
And
so,
especially if they're technician, then they are not so aware of the cost.
Yes.
Normally you can tell them, we can give you a solution, but be aware this
What's
costs
your
a lot. Yes.
what's reasonable?
Yes.
Right. The other part is all we need to know what's the level of their decision making. So if they're technical people, sometimes technical people are more of what they call, they give inputs, but they influence, but they don't really make decisions. Some technical people do make decisions. So again, we need to know which is which. Right. We have a number of consultants here. So if you're talking to consultants, sometimes people like this tend to be company bosses. They're general managers, they know what's happening. So if you're consulting to them, they know what they want and they're open to suggestions, and they even know that there's certain things they may not know that much and would like to have your inputs plus their own inputs and inputs from across. Okay, so it could be that way. That's why as part of our what we call training development businesses, we tend to want to talk to either functional managers. So if you're selling sales programs, we talk to sales directors, we talk to VP sales. If you're doing leadership programs, sometimes we talk to HR, sometimes we even prefer to talk to senior managers. Some VPs, some SVPs, some managing directors, some general managers. Right? Why? Because from a HR's point of view, we're not again not discriminating HRs, we are friendly with HRs, we love the HR clients we have. Sometimes from HR's perspective, you may not see things from a company-wide point of view. Right? Whereas from the top management, you may know that in leadership, there are certain things that are happening in certain departments, certain staff that we are not quite happy about. I'd like to see some changes. So from a senior manager, they're in a better position and a better view to tell what's going on. From a HR position, they may be, if they're open enough, they may be able to share certain bits about what are the performance appraisal systems, what are the compensation and benefit plans, what are the training plans, and so on. They may be able to let us know about certain plans they have. But in terms of what actually is happening to the company, HR as a standalone department may not have that first-hand information. Okay, so that's some things that we operate around. So hence, the different types of buyers. So you may want to have a buyer strategy, as in a strategy to deal with the different types of buyer that you may face. One is to always be prepared. And there are a lot of saying that in sales you need to ask questions, you need to find out customers' needs. That part is true. It's just that asking questions is not enough, especially today, because customers are busy. And when customers are busy, if you were to ask too many questions, they get very agitated, they get impatient. So what needs to be done is, even before you see the customers, you may need to find out a bit more about the company background. Whom have they been using in the past? Are there certain complaints? What's the track record of the current vendor? What are the current needs? What could be the future needs? If we were to go in, which kind of our products could be the best match or possible best match with them? So some of this preparation you need to make. If you know some of the people internally, you may want to make preparation about knowing the people that you are going to see. For example, if you happen to know, say, your ex-classmate's classmate or ex-classmate's ex-boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever, right, happens to be one of the admin staff. Nothing to do with the people you want to see, just admin staff. But that's a person that exists internally in that company. You may want to reach out to them and just find out, okay, well, I'm about to see your purchasing manager. Can you just tell us more, if you know this person, tell me more about what this person is, what he likes, she likes, and what kinds of behavioral, communication, personality patterns that this person has. And anything that we should say, anything that we should not say, and so on. Okay, anything that happens in the past, some history about buying, selling, in that. That contact may know something, may not know everything, but just get some feedback about that person. Okay, another way of preparation. Okay, make use of social networking networks. Right, whether it's the Chinese version. The Chinese versions tend to be weaker. We have We at Link, WEALINK, which is a Chinese networking online networking platform. We have 校内网. We have 开心网. Okay, so those tend to be more junior levels in Chinese in the Chinese sphere. The international ones, English ones are things like LinkedIn, as in LinkedIn.com. LinkedIn tends to get you into more senior positions people. Not exactly the person that you may be seeing, but someone whom you may want to connect and find out more information. Okay, that exists before you even see the customer. Right, some people may say that if salespeople were to do all that, will that affect your selling time? Yes and no. It's going to take time for sure. But if you don't take time, it can be off what I call non-selling time, as in after office hours and so on. If you don't take time to do the preparation, you may not have an effective sales meeting. And sometimes if you were to meet up with some close visits, or some close Muggles in your first meeting and you're not prepared enough, that may be your last meeting with that company. Right, and you may just lose the chance because of that. So it pays to be prepared before seeing the customer. After seeing the customer, build trust first, regardless whether they're open or closed, whether they're Muggles or wizards or wherever they are. Build trust first. Show that you care about their business, you care about their own performances, you care about them as a person. Show that you make considerations of what could be a best case scenario. So even though if they come strongly with how much, can I have it cheaper? Can I have the cheaper solution? And that's all we need. Show that that you care by saying that we can definitely give you the cheapest solution, but besides price, will there be other concerns that you may have? Things like safety, things like production efficiency. Sometimes cheap may not be good because cheap may have some what we call fluctuations in product quality, which may cause you some problems down the road when you do your production. So, are you just focus on price itself, or would you like to have a reasonable price and have the kinds of safety, ease of maintenance, product quality guarantees, delivery guarantee, and so on. Okay, it's in a way handling the objection, and also in a way thinking about things from their point of view, and show that you can think things from their point of view. Develop more context. Don't just rely on one source. Even if you may deal with a very open Muggle in that purchasing manager, a purchasing manager will always see things from one perspective, not the whole company's perspective. So you may still need to build more context, talk to more people, whether it's the end user, whether it's other influences, and gather more inputs before you make the final sale. Right? You never know that there may be certain people in the company that you haven't met as yet, that could be opposing your solution. They raise something. The purchasing manager likes it, wants to submit for approval, but somewhere down the line, within that company, there may be someone in there who does not like your brand, doesn't like your product. They may be what I call relatives with the current vendor. Right? The current vendor may be their sister's husband or something, so they don't want to change vendors and will put up resistance internally without you knowing about it. So it may make sense for you to get a little bit more context to firstly give you a better picture, and also find out internally who are those who are supporting you, who are those who are resisting or opposing you. Right? How many contacts you need to make? By and large, between 3 to 5 contacts. In a typical business-to-business deal, you need to get to know about 3 to 5 different people, just to give a better picture. If your deal is very big, if you're in for a bidding project, if you need to go for tender, tender for a big project, a lot of times we tend to think that, oh, tender means we submit the proposal and wait for news. Wrong. Right? Tender means before they even call for a tender, before they even call for the bidding, right? You need to influence them when they write the scope for the tender, the call for tender. Right? 在竞标之前，你要影响到他们的标书是怎么写。Why? Because customers don't write their own call for tender. Customers copy and paste from somewhere else for the call of tender. Okay, so what you need to do is to be there, build a context so that they copy and paste from your proposals into the call for tender, so that the terms are skewed in your favor. Right? To do that, you need to have yes.
But for this, I have a question, because actually, sometimes, especially for this kind of bidding project,
Yeah.
especially if the company is a very big company,
Yes.
normally inside the company there might be at least two different groups
Yes.
which are against each other.
Yes.
So if for one sales group, if you're like encounter with this group, it's like quite sensitive. If you're also encounter with the other group,
Yes.
what will be?
Sometimes, if that is the case, and sometimes it can be serious, you may want to have either 2 different salespeople, or better still, make use of your distributor. That means we go direct with one group, and have a distributor with another group, or have 2 different distributors, same brand. 2 different distributors show as if these 2 distributors are competing. They're not. Whoever wins get paid. But from the customer's point of view, they feel that, okay, it's the same product, but they're representing 2 different distributors with different, slightly different package or product or solution options. Okay, so it's like 无间道, you have a good guy, you have a bad guy, so both at the same time.
Sometimes it's like that.
Sometimes like that, yes.
Some double agents.
Yes. So it's pretend that you're from different parts. And in fact, there are some companies who literally show to the public that no, the 2 founders actually quarreled, fought, and split, and formed 2 different companies. When in actual fact, they are still one company. There are companies like that to show to the public, to show to the customers, oh, the founders, the partners fought, they had a big fight, they split, so they're 2 separate entities. But actual fact, they're actually one company, for the purpose to just manage such customers, or to sell to customers that are formerly competitors. Some companies will want to say that if you sell to me, I need exclusive. You cannot sell to my competitor. So some sellers split so that they can sell to competitors as well. So again, we're not saying who's right, who's wrong. It's a matter of how you position yourself to different customers, right? Look for your points of receptivity. It's not always that in every sale we need to look for the purchasing manager or whoever is doing the buying. Sometimes we need to look for people who are there, who are more receptive to our ideas. Right? It could be an end user who's got no influencing skills but are able to tell us what the problem is, and what could be a better solution, and who to look for if we need to advance our goals. Right? We sometimes just need to talk to some people who are receptive to us and are willing to point us to the right direction. Okay, so that could be our initial entry. It need not always be the purchasing manager. And even if we get stuck at the purchasing manager, we may be looking at other points of receptivity. People who are willing, open to ideas, who are willing to listen to us, regardless if they have great influence over the buyer. We just need information from these people. We just need directions from these people, and that's good enough. Right? So that is one mentioned by formula buyers, or how you handle the buyer. In a way, I'm going to feel that sales is one job that is that you need to do a lot of things. It's a tiring job. Handling customers is a very tiring job. Yes, it is. Right. So I always use this as a closing, as a reminder to sales. I mean, the Chinese saying is that 做人难，做销售更难，做好销售难上加难。It's difficult to be human, to be a person, and it's even more difficult to be a salesperson. It's even much more difficult to be a good salesperson. So it's hard, right? So it's not an easy thing, and guess what? It's going to be even more difficult in future. So this is one quote that we always use, that this is from Sun Tzu Art of War, saying that if you can march 1,000 miles and not feel tired, you win. Why? Because by 1,000 miles, your competitors may have felt tired and decided not to walk anymore, and you are still walking. Right? It's like Johnny Walker, right? So it's still walking. Keep on walking. Right? So that's the 1,000 miles, and this was something that's written 2,500 years ago, 2,500 years ago in ancient China, and 20,000 years ago. If you're a foot soldier, you walk, basically you don't ride horses, you walk from point A to point B. You wear straw shoes, right? You need to climb mountains, you need to cross rivers, you need to carry a lot of things. So if you need to do all that and walk or march 1,000 miles and not feel tired, chances are your competitors have all been tired, they just gave up, and you're still there. Okay, and just to make a slightly different quote, this is from Jack Ma, Alibaba.com, right? Sometimes being persevered is equal to victory. 坚持就是胜利. Perseverance is victory. Why? Because by the time when everybody have fallen, and you are half kneeling, you are about to fall but not fallen yet, you win. Right? Or another way of saying is that by the time when everybody else is all dead and you died standing, you win. 如果其他人都死了，你是站着死的，你就赢了。Okay, so in a way, it's about really doing. If customers are demanding great news, that means less competitors. If things are more difficult to handle, if you meet, whether it's a closed wizard or even a closed Muggle, and you know that customer is hard to handle, good news, because it applies to you, it applies to all your competitors as well. Anyone who runs a business are going to face the same level of difficulty. If you are able to navigate around them or through them, then chances are you are going to get a deal. You are also keeping the competitors out. Okay, so it's how you look at it. It's going to be tough, but with tough challenges, you may be able to get better results and rewards. Right. Questions, and before we have questions, if you need to have more information as mentioned, this is based on a very detailed newsletter, about 1,500 words every month. All the newsletter archives are found on this website, and if you would like to read in Chinese, I've got colleagues who prefer to read in Chinese. The Chinese translations are found on this website below, so just get a reference to that. Questions? Yes?
Could you just explain more your suggestion about how to sell to close the wizard?
Okay, explain more on how to sell to closed wizards. One is they are demanding, and they don't listen, so you do the listening part. Say yes first, agree to them first, nod your head first. Let them say the specific details as much as possible first. If you have certain things that you don't agree with them, right, just pick one or two ones that you find that it's more critical to the solution, and get them to look from a different perspective. Right, but most of the time, say yes and see what their demands are. Two is, if they're demanding, that's good. If you're able to meet the demands, the more you're able to meet the demands, if you're able to stretch yourself to meet the demands, the more you can get the deal. Okay, so the closed wizards, basically they're very dominant. They want to prove that they're smart, they're right, they're highly experienced, they got great expertise. So at the start, manage your emotions first, and not to just say that, hey, that's wrong, that's different, that's not what we do, that's not what you should do. Just let them say the whole thing for at least, time yourself, if you need the time yourself, let them say for at least half an hour first. Let them talk, let them have their own monologue, 单向对话, for half an hour first. Then give a little bit of input and see what else you can do. Right, and if need be, if you need to give feedback, if you need to massage their egos, if they hit a point that you agree with them, encourage them, praise them, give them recognition, say that's a good point. Yeah, that's exactly what we need to do. No, that's exactly what a lot of companies are not doing. I'm glad you are focusing on that. No, make them feel good first for the first half an hour. Yeah, so and if there's some counter suggestions, you can counter suggest that later. Okay, so these are people. The close visits. Why we do that? They got a big ego. They believe they're right, and by extension, the ego is huge. So they're the ones that, as a start, they don't like to entertain countering opinions. At least as a start. At least they need to see that you agree to the main points first. You agree to what they are saying first, before they are a little bit more willing to listen to you. Other questions? No questions? Okay, this is what we do. We still have time. It's still 9:30. We still have time, and if you haven't have enough food, there's more food outside. There's more fruits and bread and pastries outside. That's number one. Number two, we have this place till 10:30 if you want to. So feel free to network. Right? You may find some vendors here. You may find some customers here if you don't know, and you may find some strategic alliances here as well. So feel free to network as well. For next month, we haven't write the newsletter yet. We're so busy this month. The plan is that we're going to have a newsletter out, and it's going to be on using the 6 thinking hats. I'm what I call certified facilitator for a program called the 6 thinking hats, and it's using the 6 thinking hats to resolve conflicts and develop synergy. Not just resolve conflict, but also we want to build synergy, right? And build synergy, resolve conflict, build synergy between confrontational and cross-functional teams. The teams that basically, between sales and production, they fight all the time. Between finance and sales, they fight all the time. Basically, the sales department tends to fight with every kinds of departments all the time. So between the teams that are loggerheads with one another, how do you resolve conflicts? How do you build synergy? And it can be confrontational. It can also be cross-functional. So we just like to look into the conflict resolution and the kinds of things that we can work together as a team in that sense. So that will be for next month. The date's not confirmed yet. It's likely to be on 21st June. Right, it's going to be a Tuesday, unfortunately. It's going to be a Tuesday on 21st June next month, and it's going to be in the same place. Right, date to be confirmed, the final date to be confirmed. Right, with that, thank you. Question?
Yeah, I just had one question which I think will be helpful for the sales managers here, and that is, what are your sort of thoughts or tips on finding good salespeople and training them? That's sort of a $1 million question.
It's a $1 million question. In fact, it's a multi-million-dollar question. Question is on how do you find good salespeople. In fact, good salespeople actually is an oxymoron. It's hard to find, or it seldom exists. Why? You see, there are 2 qualities of good salespeople. One is they need to be smart. Why? Because you have this kind of bias. You need to outsmart, outwit, outlast. Sounds like Survivor. Outsmart, outwit, and outlast your customers. Right? So you need to be smart. Number 2, not only you need to be smart, you also need to work very hard. Right? So you need to work hard and you need to work smart at the same time for a good salesperson. And unfortunately, most of the time, smart people tend not to work very hard, or not that hard. And hardworking people usually are not, well, they're smart, but not that smart, usually. So naturally, it doesn't happen that way, unless and until you are willing to develop them. We're not saying that we are limited by our natural tendencies. Some of us smarter, some of us are naturally more hardworking. We all can learn to work harder and smarter. So it depends on how you develop on your own. So in regards to hiring good salespeople, number one, I'm against hiring just solely based on experience, especially experience within the same industry. Why? Because it's a very limited pool of people. And what's going to happen is once you start hiring from experienced people within your industry, you will find that the salespeople's salaries go up. And salespeople productivity does not change at all. They just change a different job, but they produce the same level of results. It doesn't mean they produce more results. Same result, they just pay more, nothing else. Okay, this is what's happening a lot in the pharmaceutical industry. The saying is that if you change 2 jobs within 5 years, you will make more money than if you don't change at all. From an employee's point of view, if you change 2 jobs in 5 years, you'll make more money than if you were to stay in 1 job in 5 years. Okay, so and a lot tends to go into, because a lot of hiring companies tend to look for experienced people within the industry. So if experienced people within industry is not a good choice, what will it be? Some of the things is we look for attitudes. What kinds of attitudes? Attitudes to again, depends on what kind of salesperson you're looking at. If you need to look for salespeople who are out there developing new businesses, are you willing to talk to what we call stranger customers? Whether it's based on cold calls, networking, or other means, are you willing to go out there and meet people you don't know? Right? Do you have such a track record? Are you, if yours is a product that's a bit more complex, you require the salesperson to know a little bit more technical details, know a bit about the customer's businesses, how to make money for the customers, then that salesperson has the ability to think about customers' businesses. And from past working experiences, even if that person is not in sales, in an interview, we can even ask them, so, in your previous company, what do you think will be crucial if your company would like to make more money? What do you think in the previous company that you worked for? It's not for a customer's company, in the company that you worked for before. What do you think is crucial if your company were to save a little bit of money? What do you think can be done for your ex-company to improve their productivity? So if it's a company that they work for, they should know the company pretty well. So it's a matter of testing if that person can think from a company-wide, bigger picture point of view. And that can be important if you're selling things that are more consultative, that impacts customers' business. Number 3 is very much aware, just like people who claim that the decision maker usually are not, and so on. Salespeople whose CVs is about, last year we made $10 million. Last year I was a top sales. I was top sales for the past 10 years. People who talk about all the victories, all the successes, take it with a huge pinch of salt. It's a huge question mark. Why? We like to ask salespeople about failures, about rejections, about deals that can be done but are not taken, rather than just successes. And the reason is very simple. It's unlike engineering. Engineering is a job that you cannot make mistakes. And if you have production in engineering, you cannot make mistakes. You make mistakes, it will result in a lot of losses for the company. In sales, you have to make mistakes, because if you don't make mistakes, you will not get the sale, or you will not find a customer who is going to buy from you. So if you're a very, very good salespeople, if you're legendary, if you're one of the top salespeople, the maximum you can go is 50%. That means out of 2 customers, you can close 1. That is probably the top level salespeople. Most salespeople can close about 15 or 20% of the people they see. that means they're going to have a failure rate of 80 to 90%, 80 to 85% failure rate, which is normal. And from an employer's point of view, it is the failures that are more important than the successes. Why? Because the good salesperson is going to learn from mistakes more than from successes. We make mistakes all the time in sales, and there's certain people that we handle a closed Muggle as if we're handling an open Muggle, we offended the closed wizard, and so on. There are certain people that we should get in touch with within. We send proposals without finding enough of what the customers actually really want, and so on. And as a result, we lose some deals that we should have got. And those mistakes are going to remind the salesperson more so that future mistakes can be avoided than the success stories themselves. So again, if you're hiring for attitude, we want salespeople, no matter how successful they are, can still think about and reflect upon their past mistakes, rather than to say, I'm the top sales. You may be a real top sales, right? Your past success doesn't mean future success at all, in sales especially. So we don't want people who are resting on their laurels. We don't want people who are saying that, no, I've come so far, so I'm the king of the market. Customers will just buy from me. We like to have salespeople who are a bit on their toes a little bit. We like salespeople to be a bit humble in the sense that every customer is a different experience. Every customer will have a different way of buying, a different way of behaviors. Every customer expects to be treated differently from other customers, and every customer will need a different buyer strategy for us to handle them. Right? We would like to have that kind of attitude. Yeah. So in a way, that'll be people that we're going to find, which is tough, in the sense that when you put up an ad to hire salespeople, you tend to have a lot of CVs. If you put an ad in, say, 500jobin.com and so on, and the next day you got 200 to 300 CVs in your mailbox. And out of that 200 to 300 CVs, about 90% are trash. Right? So you have about 20 to 30 readable CVs. Out of that 20 to 30 readable CVs, at least half of them will have fake information in them. Right? Fake information in the sense that they fake crucial information like the track records and the kind of customers, which we need to double verify. And it takes a long process. It takes a lot of pain and time to actually find out who are the right ones for us. Okay. At the same time, you may want to think about this. Why should anyone work so hard for you? Why should anyone put their heart and soul and walk a march 1,000 miles and not feel tired for you? What's in it for your employer brand as a company? Why is it good to work for your company? As the boss, as a manager, as a leader, why is it good to work for you as a leader? Right? You're going to think about from these two issues, because people join a job, usually it's for the company. Yeah, you're known in the market as some kind of profile. It may not be Fortune 500, but you're known somehow in the market, and people knows about you, so they may want to join you. But when people leave, it's usually because they couldn't get along with their immediate supervisors. Okay, they joined for the company, they leave because of people problems. So those are things that we may want to look into. So why should people join you in the first place? Why should people work so hard for you? What's in it as a leader that you can lead them to provide you with more contributions, more hard work they're doing willingly? Okay, so those are some questions. It goes into a different topic altogether, but these are the things that makes you attract talent. Right? Other questions? Yes. Suddenly we have no questions. Suddenly we have a lot of questions.
For salespeople, you just
Yes.
said first persistence is victory.
Yes.
And another thing is that you have to balance at a special time you have to walk away.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. How? Give me some personal experience. How you balance that? person say, okay, I gotta do it, I gotta give up, I gotta approach another lead.
Okay.
And the second time said, okay, I'm gonna persistent.
Okay, when's the walk away? When it's very clear that a customer doesn't have the budget or is not definitely not willing to spend the budget on whatever you're selling. So your price will be here, and this is your lowest price, and this is your highest budget. No matter how hard you try, no matter how hard they try, it's not going to work.
Besides that,
Yeah, so that is a clear indicator. Now, two, if it's going to walk away, then you also need to, or to walk away or not to walk away, you also need to evaluate the value of their business. Okay, is it going to be a huge impact, or is it going to be marginal? If you need to work very hard for one customer, is it worth your while? Not just now, but also in the future. They may buy a little bit from us now, just to try out, just to test us out. They may want to buy more in the next year or next 2 years. So if you look at into a 2 or 3 year timeline, is it worth your while? Number three, it's about who are your other customers? Who are your other prospects? Who are your other leads? One key thing about salespeople is that you need to always be looking at filling, the term is called filling up your funnel. You need to have always good leads and good prospects to work on. If that customer is your only customer that you are talking with, and outside of this customer there are no other customers or prospects to talk to, then you find yourself in a very bad negotiation situation. They have all the bargaining power. They know that you need them more than they need you, no matter what, no matter how good your product is.
do you need to let them know we have other,
Well, we don't have to tell them that if you don't buy from us, I'll sell to some other people. We don't have to tell them that, right? But on the other hand, if you give the impression that they are your only prospect, if they don't buy, you will not meet your targets, you will be fired. And if you give them that kind of impression, then they know, okay, I can demand everything from you because you need me. Okay. On the other hand, on our personal planning, it's just about, hey, this prospect, if all things are equal, definitely would like to spend more time with them. But on the other hand, I got other prospects that are hotter. They have more immediate needs, that I should tend to them more. It's not that I walk away from this customer. I just put them on a slow burner. I give them information, let them digest, or come back in a month and see how it goes. Or I come back in a month or two and see if I can talk to some other people and get some different views as well. Right. Questions? Right, again, there are questions that you may want to raise in public. There may be some questions that you want to raise face-to-face. We can do both either ways, and in fact, that brings us to 9:45, 9:40. Okay, so again, feel free to do more networking, more juices, fruits, and snacks outside. If you need more food, just have food as well. And hopefully we'll be setting up newsletters, the latest newsletters by Monday next week. And hope to see you again next month.
Thank you.
See you.